Well, folks, here we are. My name is Ben Alcott. I'm from Damn Good Productions. We're a production company and we've been working in the fitness field for a long time. You wouldn't know it. Although this body should be a temple, it is far from it. And I blame all the plethora of personal trainers I've had over the years for not doing a good enough job. God damn it. Here we are in the Damn Good studio. We're based at the moment in Sydney. So we've just got the great news about the lockdown another 4 weeks. So it's probably a good time for us in Sydney to be talking about how to run your business and how to run it online. A little bit late because of course coronavirus has been around for a while now, but we do find that there are a lot of fitness businesses that survived through the last lockdown, thought business was getting back to business, so to speak, thought business was getting back to normal, and now they've been hurt quite hard by what's happened. So we're working with Fitness Australia to be able to give you guys some ideas on how you can work and how you can do your thing. All right, so let's get started. This session will go for about an hour. We're going to leave about 20 minutes for questions at the end, and that'll give us the opportunity to answer as many questions as we can. So I'll just get through it fairly quickly. Okay, so firstly, the one thing with coronavirus is that everyone thinks every meeting is a Zoom meeting. So we work on Skype here, our television broadcast system is based around Skype, and we talk to people about Skype and they're like, oh, we haven't used that for years. Everything's a Zoom meeting. So it's almost like hoovering or getting a Kleenex. Zoom is now a generic term for anything online. Zoom's great, and as you know, we're on a Zoom webinar today, but there are a lot of limitations with Zoom. So today we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about the platform that you deliver your message to your clients on, and the other thing we're going to mention is the production values that go into it. So you can have a really, really great platform, but if you have average production, it'll still look average, or you can have really, really great production, but if you put it onto an average platform, it'll still look and sound great. So we're going to give you some tips and tricks on what to do with that. Today, I'm going to break things into three segments. We're going to start with what the big boys do, the big national chains, and have a look very quickly at how they're tackling it. Then we're going to move on to the smaller studios and the chains, and we're going to have a look at seeing the smaller studios and gyms and organisations that have got a number of clients that come and see you. And that's going to be a large part of you. And of course, we're also going to be talking about the personal trainers, the independent operators, those of you who are trying to make a living whilst not being able to really spend much time with your clients. So let's get started. I thought a good place to start would be with what the big guys are doing. And of course, those national chains, they've got a lot of resources behind them. They've got IT departments and marketing departments and so forth. So let's have a bit of a look at that. I'm talking the Virgin Actives, the Fitness Firsts, the Anytimes, and so forth. So I am a Virgin Active member. You wouldn't know it. And in many ways, I should be demanding my money back for all these years because it's their fault that I haven't lost huge amounts of weight. If we have a bit of a look at, I'm going to take you guys to see, there we go. So this is Virgin Active's website. I'm not giving away any proprietary information here. Anyone can see this just by logging in and having a look at it. So the concept that you guys need to understand is the concept of a paywall. And what a paywall is everything in front of the paywall is free and everything behind the paywall you have to pay for. So a paywall is a generic term for something where you have to pay to see what's behind it. And effectively that is the key for monetizing any online, any sort of online business that you have, is you're offering a service for people to be able to access it. They should be using a paywall. Now, that could be they might pay you per session, they might pay you per week, or they might pay you fortnightly or per month. But the point is that they pay money for a service. And at the moment, there are a lot of fitness professionals out there saying, hey, join me on my Instagram Live for a workout. Well, that's great, but the problem with having Instagram Live is that it's free. So you're really giving away your service for free, which might be great, but it's not really very helpful for paying the rent for you guys. So with what someone like Virgin Active's doing, I'll just sign in here. They have what's called My Locker, which is sort of their paywall. Behind My Locker, I won't go into great detail, but they've added this new, you can see here it says new live workouts. New being about a year now, but new enough. And if you jump in there, you see that there's a class running at the moment. It says live now, big live button, grid training. And then here you've got a class at 4:30, a class at 5:15, and a class at 6 o'clock. And then you've got a bunch of other classes as well. And absolute kudos to Virgin, their stuff always looks great. So their photos are great, their descriptions are great, and they're very, very focused around the user experience. If I click on grid training, it brings up a player. And you can see there, if we go to that full screen, you'll be able to see down the bottom it says live for 45 minutes. And you'll see you've got the two trainers there. You'll see they're wearing microphones, which is fantastic. And there's a good dynamic where they talk to each other, which is really, really good. Let me just make that a bit more full screen there. So I'm going to close that. There we go. And that looks like Liz. Liz is one of the fabulous trainers down at Barangaroo, and she's talking there. So these are all their live classes. Now, if we go into on-demand, you will see that the on-demand classes bring up a whole bunch of stuff. And what on-demand basically means is that you can watch it at your leisure. And people understand the concept of on-demand now because it's a bit like watching Stan or Netflix or Amazon Prime. And you can go through and you can choose all of these different classes, as you can see. So what's really interesting is that people prefer having an appointment to view. We call them appointments to view. Let me just get out of that for a second. Hang on, and I'll just bring this up here. So what an appointment to view is that we find, and studies are showing, that there are plenty of free videos on YouTube. There's plenty of videos you can watch for workouts and whatever, but people like having a connection. They like having a set time to do something. So having a live session, actually people will turn up to a live session much more than they'll turn up to or watch a generic YouTube video on training. So if you have live sessions and then you offer on-demand sessions, you're really covering both bases. You would imagine people would be watching on-demand sessions a lot more, but we are seeing, when we look at the stats, and I'll show something in a little minute about that, you'll see that live is pretty much as popular as on-demand is. So for the organisations like Virgin, for instance, they've actually converted one of their studios into a studio, and that's at Pitt Street in Sydney, and they have their trainers coming in and doing dedicated training sessions that go out live at a set time, and then also they then roll those over and make them available on demand. So they sort of cover both bases there. But there's a bit of an investment. They've got a custom platform, as you saw. Their delivery platform was a custom platform, and they have customised the look and feel of that to their brand experience, and it just fits in with all the rest of their, if you want to book a live class, you go into My Locker. If you want to do an on-demand video class, you go into My Locker. So everything is in the same environment, which for them is great. But for a lot of you guys watching, that won't be so useful because you don't have a huge IT department to do that for you. So let's move on and go to the second category now, which are those studios, gyms, personal training spaces. And pretty much what we find with these organisations is they have fixed expenses. They've got rent, telephone, electricity, staff, and so forth. Usually they have existing clients coming in to do classes and to do sessions. And this has hit them very hard because now those clients can't come in. So the fixed expenses continue, but the income doesn't because you aren't providing a service. So what do you do? Well, as I said before, there's lots of free videos on YouTube, but your clients come to you for a reason, and that reason is they like to have a connection, and that connection is they like to be able to speak to the trainers, they like to be known, they like to be called by name. So we find that people are a lot more likely to join in online if they know the people, know the environment, and they are more likely to be held to account, such as, oh, we haven't seen you for a week, how come you haven't been joining us? So that's the reason why they have PTs in the first place, because they like that personal connection. So, as I said before, on-demand versus live, people want that live experience. Now, platforms, and we'll talk about platforms in just a second, if you use a professional platform, they allow for interaction. You're used to using Zoom, used to using the chat function on Zoom. A lot of these platforms have the chat function, they've got Q&A functions. So as you're doing your exercises, people can be asking questions, they can be getting involved with the rest of the group, and we find that works really, really well. Now, this is all well and great, but how do you monetize this? The whole point of it is, how do you make money from it? Well, when you're doing your class, I'll take a step back. There are three ways of doing this. Firstly, there is one-on-ones. So one-on-ones might be if you have one client and you're dealing with them directly. Zoom's fine for that, but of course you can't monetize it. But you've got a one-on-one connection. The other is to do a one-to-many way, and that's if you're holding a class of some sort. So you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people joining. And that's a bit different to a Zoom. That's more like watching television. So they'll be watching the instructor, they'll be watching a class take place and participating in it. The third option is a bit of a new option that's come out, and that is software which allows the end user to see the instructor, but it allows the instructor to see everybody in the class. And the reason why a lot of people prefer that is if I'm exercising, it's not a pretty sight. Right? No one wants to see me exercising, and it's a bit awkward if I'm there on Zoom and I'm exercising. I don't necessarily want everyone else in the class to watch that. I am the person that stands in the back of the class when I do a group class because I don't want everyone laughing at me. The same thing we're finding with Zoom is that, yes, you can turn your camera off, but then what's the point in doing it as a Zoom call? So this third option allows the instructor to see everybody. So they can say, hey, Dave, you know, you're not lifting your leg enough or whatever it is, but it allows for the person in the class to only focus on the instructor. So that's a good way that it's developing. So I want to very quickly talk about a case study for a studio. We work with a studio here in Sydney called The Loft, and that's run by the lovely Simone. Let me play you a little clip that sort of puts it all in perspective for you.
My name's Simone, I'm from the Loft Pilates and Bar. We do hot classes, reformer Pilates bar and mat work Pilates as well. Coronavirus hit us like a ton of bricks. So I called Ben from Damn Good Productions and he showed me the platform. It is so user-friendly and we were live within hours. So from the time I called Ben to our first video going up, I think was about 4 hours. It was incredible. So we have complete control over who's logging in, who's watching the videos. We've been able to still get a membership payment from our clients. We've still been able to get an income as a studio at this really tough time. So this is going to be a second leg of my business. Right now it's getting us through, but then after, when we're back to normal, this is going to be huge for us.
Well, there is the beautiful Simone from The Loft. Hello, Simone.
Hi, how you going?
I am very well. Thank you very much for joining us, especially because you're about 9.75 months pregnant at the moment, aren't you?
That's it. Gonna blow any time.
So Simone has promised if she goes into labour today, we will all be able to be part of that, right? So the camera must stay on, Simone, at all times. Now, Simone, tell us a little bit about the Loft. Tell us about your business.
So we're a Pilates, yoga and bar studio, and like you were saying, we rely on people booking in and coming and joining into our classes in studio. So yeah.
Okay, so how long has the business been running for, roughly?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, just over 3 years.
Okay, so you've got a studio. You've got one studio down south in the beautiful Tarrant Point in Sydney.
Yes.
You've got your clients. They would come in. They would do your classes. Happy days. What happened when suddenly coronavirus hit and the studio was closed?
Lockdown hit. The studio was closed. I very boldly announced online that I'll be going online and it's going to happen and it's going to be fabulous. And then it was lucky. I've worked with Ben for years, for everyone who's watching. And Ben sort of reached out and said, how do you plan on going online? And I thought, I have no idea. We just have to make it happen. So he set us up with filmic equipment being sound, so microphones, lighting and a camera. And then showed me the portal and how it works. And everything, like he said, was behind a paywall. So my clients' payments would go in, they typed in a password, gave us control of the entire system and kept us afloat through lockdown. But then what we found was its popularity started to grow, which was amazing. And now our reach was not only in our local area, we're a demographic business. It then allowed us to expand. So we've got clients now in London, in LA, we've got clients, all over the globe, which is really cool.
So I clearly remember seeing your post online saying, we're going online. And I'm like, that'll be interesting. How are you planning on doing that? So it's easy. So, and I imagine a lot of the people watching would go through the same thought. They're like, we know I have to go online. I just don't quite know how to. So what we did is we got together, we have a webcast platform which we set the Loft up on, and basically what that allowed them to do was allow them to do live classes. So you got, and I remember initially, we sort of went through phases of lockdown. You could have one person in your studio at a time, and then you had to do it from home for a little while. And we were trying to work out how various different instructors could do it. So the platform has basically an app where you can just put your camera down or your iPad at its simplest, and you hit start. It starts the live webcast. At the end of that, it makes it available for on demand. So you did a bunch of lives, and then you would just roll those over so they'd be available on demand, right?
Yes, because when we originally started talking, the important thing for me was to build up a library,
right,
so that then after COVID had hit and lockdown was over, that would be the second leg of the business, and people could just access these videos from wherever they are and whenever they wanted to. But Ben sort of explained to me the importance of live streaming, the importance of Zoom and that connection with your clients, which is exactly what we found. People wanted to book in. People wanted that sense of community that, are you going to class at 9 a.m.? Yep, I'm going to be there, blah, blah, blah. So it was that little sense of normality that kept them sort of happy and, and keeping on through COVID. So then we did the live classes, and then they saved in the bank. So if someone missed class that day, they could still catch it that night. And we've still got those videos up on our platform now, which is good.
and I think you ended up with you've got 400 classes or something ridiculous.
Exactly. And that's a great advertising point for us too. We can say we've got a library of bar, hip workout, yoga, Pilates, stretch, recovery, meditation, all of these things, but we've got a library of over 400 videos, whereas the studios who were maybe only Zooming at that time, those videos then just disappear. So this for us was like the perfect way to invest in our future and get us through that really tough time.
Now, you just mentioned the name of a number of different sort of disciplines that I can't do any of, so thank you for that. So the only hit I get is a sugar hit, but that's a whole different story. So what we did was we set this up, we set the platform up, and I'll show the folks watching that in just a second so you can see that. Simone and her team would go in, they would do their live webcast, they would let their clients know, here's the schedule, and you can set the schedule up, and then would roll those over to be on demand. And then you could also, and I think, kudos to Simone's team, you would also go in and shoot other classes and have them online as well. We ended up also setting up a set of playlists so that using existing content that Simone already recorded, there was a bunch of different playlists so that if she was doing a special, if you were doing like a special set of challenges or something, you could have the January challenge or the winter challenge or the whatever. And those playlists, the clients would just hit the playlist and it would play through the videos automatically, which was great. And initially, because it was such a rush to get you up online, initially I believe you offered an online membership, is that right?
Membership, individual class payments. So we sell class packs and we sell memberships for this. It was the perfect way to sort of roll over our members' prices. We could just reduce them to a lower rate because they weren't able to use the studio and all of the facilities, but we could sort of just change the amount and continue those membership payments to, cover our rent and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, so you did that, which was great. Now, and the only challenge, I think, initially, we were talking about paywalls before. So the only challenge is you had an existing business and you were billing your clients your existing membership payments. How did you integrate the online in initially to get you up and running. I think we put a password on and you communicated to your members each week, because there are some members that would join, there was someone that wouldn't have paid or they dropped off, and you had a current membership list and you would just email everybody on a Saturday, this is the password for this week. They would go in, enter their password and then access, and those who hadn't kept current or whatever, they didn't get the password, and so they didn't do that. So that was a good start, but obviously there was a bit of labour intensive. You had to send emails out every week, and then I think that the next step was we put together a new website for you. We worked together to get a new website, and that website offered a membership function that then once you were through that paywall, you then were hosting your on-demand videos on that website, weren't you?
Yes, yeah, and that's just been fantastic, especially for our clients, because they can then log in from anywhere, so from any device. So there's the login sort of access bar on the website. They type in their name, their password. If they haven't paid, they can't access the videos. So that sort of protects us. They can quickly fix up a payment without us sort of having to touch base at all, or not send them an email. So yeah, the accessibility has been really great, and now we've got an app as well. So through our app, they can access our live classes, and they can also access our on-demand.
Right. So, and I think that's really important. So you've developed, and if we have a quick look, I hope you don't mind if I show a little bit of your website, because it's so beautiful, of course. So if we have a look there, you'll see that this is what the website looks like. Beautiful studio. Up here is the login, the element there. You can see the cart, and basically you can. Who's that, Simone? Looking extremely natural there. Basically, you can then log in the Loft on demand, and you can then access behind the paywall. You can see that you access it from various different devices and so forth. So that's all was driven by the website, and of course we can help you folks out with that if you want to learn some more about that. And as you said, really importantly, you've sort of developed now where once you're behind the paywall, you're also offering live Zoom classes as well. So you've got all the stuff on demand on the website, and you're also offering live Zoom classes behind that paywall. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so the Zoom classes are fantastic, not just for my clients to have that, to maintain that sort of sense of community and that booking into class and all of that, but it's also keeping my team working. So I loved being able to offer more opportunities to my team while we weren't in lockdown. So it was kind of like, okay, if I booked you for 2 classes a day, I can also book you for filming 2 on-demand workouts. So then it would sort of thicken up their shift and their hours and all of that kind of stuff. And they also really, really enjoyed it, which was great. But now that we're back in lockdown, it's keeping my team working. So they're getting excited, they're maintaining contact with my clients, and especially now, me being pregnant, I can't do it all by myself. So it's really, really great for, clients and the team.
Okay, hopefully you'll be training the baby in how to actually operate the online system, and you'll be doing, fantastic. So really looking at that development, it went from being just a in-person studio to then being just online, and then we developed that through with website and on demand. Then when things opened up again, you continued to offer both, didn't you? You had the physical classes and the on-demand classes.
Yeah, which then increased the value of our memberships. So for our members, they pay a weekly membership, which used to offer reformer, Pilates, bar, yoga, all of that kind of stuff in different sort of arrangements depending on their memberships. But all of our membership holders now get on demand. So if they can't make the weekly yin class or their recovery, or they just want to do a 10-minute stretch and release, they can do their class at the studio, but then come home and then find a video that they're looking for that sort of aspect of recovery or whatever they want to sort of add on if they can't get to the studio as often as they'd like to. And they really, really like it.
And I guess what everyone's going to be wondering is what's the feedback been from your clients? What's the sort of vibe been?
Very, very grateful that we're still providing something. We're still actively doing as much as we possibly can. And I think that's really, really important at this time, just to maintain everyone's mental health and their physical well-being. But also, just maintaining that contact with them and checking in. And if you can do that in a less obvious way than a text or an email. Like, you know, you just see them in class and you just have that casual conversation, just checking in how they're going and whatever, and it really makes the biggest difference. So yeah, the feedback's been really, really great.
And I have to say kudos to you and and when I say your team, I mean that's a bit of a grandiose way of saying it, because you know it is you and a couple of the girls and everything. But if everyone jumps onto any of the Loft's socials, I mean you guys do a great job in not only having an online presence but then promoting it. So there's constant Instagram going out. Interestingly, you were saying Insta's a lot more popular amongst your demographic than Facebook. I remember you saying that.
Yes, yeah, it definitely is. We get a lot more traction off our Instagram posts and sharing and all of that kind of stuff. A lot of people check themselves in, tag themselves in a workout or whatever they're doing. So yeah, that's really, really a good tool for us.
All right, well, seeing that the baby still hasn't come out yet, maybe you can just join us for a couple more minutes. I was thinking that I might just show everyone at home very quickly what the platform looked like before we moved to the website. So basically, this is we have a platform where we can custom where we can custom design and custom brand. So this was the custom branding that we came up with, and if I do that, that's probably a bit better. And if you look at it, you'll see this is the Loft branding at the top. And then, so there's some logos and so forth. You'll see that on the right-hand side there, you've got Q&A and chat. So there's actually a chat function during the live classes. If I just hit play a little bit here, you'll see you can go full screen with that. No, we definitely can't be doing that, but you get the idea. You'll see it's playing there. Everything is branded. And then when we go to playlists, you'll see there's a number of, it says, for instance, this week's schedule, latest videos, barre works out, as ScoMo would say, the barre, Mat Pilates and so forth. And if I was to hit, for instance, a barre workout, you'll see up here in the playlist window, it's just populating at the moment, and you'll see that it brings up all the bar workouts. Something worth mentioning, this channel went live probably April last year. Would that be a fair statement? April last year, roughly.
Yes.
And if you look at the top here, you've got a really, really amazing 54,713 interactions on the channel. Like, that's for a studio your size, located where you are. That is a huge number of people that have been watching your classes, attending, engaging, and that is 55,000 sessions that you would not have been able to have delivered without having an online presence. So if I just show everyone very briefly what a back end looks like here, and I'm not talking the sort of back end you normally see in a kickboxing class, it's a different back end. If I click on videos here, and I won't give anything proprietary away, but if we look at the video channel here, hang on a second, you will see, I'm just on the password protection page at the moment. Hang on, I might just wait for that to be loading, which it is now. So these are the playlists. Really, really easy to set up the playlists. If I click on videos, we can actually see all of the individual videos that have been, and you see there is a lot of them, and it keeps on. 530 videos that are in the library, which is, when you started you had none, so that's fantastic. And basically what that lets you do is set up this exactly the way that you want it. So you can see all the different things here, player settings, captioning, it does live captioning, security. As I was saying before, we added a password to the channel so that people just weren't logging in. You can restrict where it's appearing so people can't be sharing it. There's all sorts of really cool stuff that you can do. And also you'll see down here, there's a metrics button. And the metrics basically gives you full reporting, who's logged in, how long they watched for, how long it played for. So, overall, I think, it really gave a great boost, I would say, to the Loft, right? Like it gave...
It was, it got us through lockdown. It was incredible. And it was nice for me to know that I was giving a really good product as well. I don't like doing things in halves, and I don't like doing an average job of any of those things either. And I think just because of the branding and how easy it was to access, the fact that they could do it from different devices, the fact that it was protected on our end and generating an income, it was the perfect solution, and it really, really did the trick. Great.
And I think that's the key there going forward, is this is about continuing operating, continuing connection with your clients, keeping those touch points going, but making some money in the meantime. You know, there's no point doing Insta Lives every day of your life and making no money from them. So, and this particular platform, we'll talk about it at the end, but this particular platform, and we set you up that day. We had a conversation, I think about 10 in the morning, at 4 in the afternoon, it was running. So super easy to set up.
I promised that I was going online within, I don't know if it must have been days. It was really, really going to be a quick turnaround, and I knew that I had to just work out how to do it really fast. And it was very, very lucky that you'd called.
And as much as I love Simone, I think it's fair to say technology is not your strong point. And when we started, I mean, let's get this clear. This was not something where you're like, yeah, I'm going to code the site and whatever. It was literally like, where's the start button for the thing? But I have to say,
but I cannot operate any sort of technology. I find it really, really hard. And for me, that this was so user friendly, that it was easy to save the videos and then put them in the on-demand library. And a lot of people in my industry would feel the same. I feel, that's not our strong point. So we need something really, really sort of user friendly.
And I have to say, much to Simone's credit, we started this really as a test. I said, look, let's just get it up. Let's get it working. It'll be fine. Within about 2 weeks, she said, right, because we started the broadcasting originally off an iPad. So Simone had an iPad. She literally would hit start. That was the broadcasting. Very quickly, she bought a camera, she bought a microphone, she bought a light, she bought a new laptop, which she didn't know how to turn on, but that's a whole different story. To your credit, you very quickly outfitted yourself to the point where you were producing prodigious amounts of content by yourself. We're here to help you, but it's self-managed. You would go into the platform yourself, you'd name things, you'd set your playlists up. So look, so thank you for that. Thank you for joining us. I'm a little disappointed the baby didn't start, but that's all right, next time.
I'll have a word to her when she gets here.
All right. Well, look, thank you. And I guess the good thing is you can still keep going at the Loft because you've got the Loft online. So, all right. Well, everyone, if you want to know the link, we are filming Simone's birth, 3 cameras, live stream. We'll let you know how to log in. Thank you, Simone.
Thanks for having me.
Bye. All right. So that was the story of the Loft. I thought I'd do that as a case study purely so you guys would get some sort of feedback from someone who's in a similar industry. And that leaves us really with the third area, which is you one-on-one, you single operators, sole traders, you trainers who have clients directly. Monetization for you guys is the problem. So you can easily do training sessions via Zoom. I know that we can by and large still do one-on-ones in terms of meeting people in the park, but how do you do larger sessions? How do you make money with that? Large organisations like Virgin are helping their trainers in that the trainers can do Zoom. Virgin is the paywall and they take the money and then the trainers do the work, which is great. So effectively Virgin deals with all the back end and the trainers just are doing training calls, Zoom calls directly with their end users. As I said, Zoom works for one-on-ones. One of the things I wanted to talk about was production, and what I mean by that is how you get your signal into Zoom. I've seen people put their phone up on their mantelpiece and they then try to conduct the class, or they have a laptop on 7 phone books or something. Phone books, that's showing my age. I don't even know if they make phone books anymore, but they have the laptop on books. It is very, very easy, very small expense to set yourself up with a proper microphone, to set yourself up with a small LED light. It can even be as simple as using Apple Airpods, and they connect via Bluetooth into the computer. But the cost is quite low compared to what it used to be. So if you're going to do a Zoom, if you have to do that, and you have to do it from your house, set up an environment which looks professional. Don't do it in your bedroom and conduct classes from somewhere that doesn't look professional. And then make sure that the lighting's good. Make sure that your sound is good. Make sure that they can hear you. One thing that I hate is when people do classes and they're using the laptop microphone and they're 10 meters away from it trying to work. People can't hear you. So that they make very, very cheap. I'm talking $90 Bluetooth microphones these days. That literally the mic just clips in to your workout clothes, and you can talk. With Simone, what we've done is we've provided them with a radio mic solution. So the mic actually just clips in, but very small, not like the ones you guys are used to using when you're working out in gyms or taking classes in gyms, but very, very, very small little belt packs with very small mics that clip on, much the same as this one that I'm wearing now. And of course, as I said, Airpods so you can hear people on the other end of the calls. So that's fine for one-on-one classes. One-to-many classes, as I said, Zoom isn't ideal to use because of the lack of ability to monetize. So that's where we would use something like the platform I just showed you. We suggest a platform where people pay their fees, whether that's per session, weekly, or monthly as a subscription. We actually offer, we have developed a platform where, which is a pay-per-view, we call it PPV, pay-per-view platform. And basically, we deal with all the front-end drama. You can have people that just buy a class and they will watch a class, or they can buy a subscription, which is where they pay a monthly fee. They can watch live broadcasts, or they can watch on-demand broadcasts. And the thing with that is that once they've paid their fee, they've got a username and password. You get paid straight from the back end, uses Stripe, so it just dumps the money directly into your account. And that enables you to be doing something very similar to what you just saw with Simone, but it's a pre-existing setup thing. And all we do is we log you into it, customize the channel to be what you want, and then away you go. Let me, actually, I won't bother. I know we're running out of time, and I've got to take some questions, but that is sort of how we would attach that. A couple of things to deal with. Music, be careful of music. Gyms pay APRA fees. If you are using music in your online classes, copyright can be an issue. It is a difficult one to work out. You can get a license from AMCOS, AMCOS. So if you jump onto AMCOS, it's a very small amount, and you pay them and they pay the music distributors. I repeat, don't give away your business. Don't be doing stuff for free all the time. It's good to do it to promote, but people have to come to you and then pay for the product. And this is all ways of giving you some ideas of doing that. So wrapping up, just before we cut back to Luke and he can guide us in some questions. How can we help you? Well, platform-wise, we've got a couple of different platform options, and they are pre-existing and they're ready to go right now. So if you're like, I need to get online like Simone was, we've got them ready to go right now. We set you up, we put all your branding in, a bit like that one exactly, and you'll be ready to go straight away. What we normally offer clients in the fitness field is we offer them a platform, which is a monthly fee, where you're paying a monthly fee. We then offer a setup, which is where we normally come to you and film 3 or 4 classes professionally, microphones, proper lighting, proper cameras, and put that onto the platform to start you. And we use that also as a training opportunity to show you how it works. And the third is we offer a couple of different kit options. So starting with an iPad on a proper stand with a microphone. If I keep doing this, I might get off the desk in a minute too if I do that. Starting with an iPad, a microphone, a light, and then we work that up into a proper camera. And so we offer 2 or 3 different kit options. So, and we can offer advice. So I'm more than happy for you to drop me a line, and I'm more than happy to just offer advice, and I'll give my email at the end so that you can, any way we can help, because we all have to help each other at the moment. If I help you setting up a platform, I expect you to help me drink less milkshakes. So on that note, Luke, are you awake, Luke? And are we ready with some questions?
Of course. Thanks for thanks for all that, Ben, firstly, and thanks to all the members for the kind words of support for Simone as well. I could see a few popping in there, so that was really great to see. So we've got plenty of questions to get through, Ben, so thanks for hanging around to answer a few of these. So first one come through from John, who just asked how much does it cost to set up a fitness app? I'm not sure.
Good question, John. Good question. And it depends. The thing with fitness apps is Simone's, for instance, Simone has got an app that is, it deals with her membership. It deals with her, taking weekly payments. There are a bunch of apps around that allow you to do client management as well. In terms of doing just the streaming, just the online side, you know, it's as cheap as $175 a month. And when you think about it, that's really, some people are charging a reduced fee of $20 a week. You know, when you think about it, that you only need 5 or 6 clients a week in order to justify having a pretty good setup. In terms of the bigger apps, I know that you can get customer management type apps for $200 or $300 a month. But I'm sure, and John, if you drop me a line, I can point you in the right direction of some of the apps to talk to. And I'm sure Fitness Australia probably have some recommendations as well, I'd say.
Definitely. Got another one from Rowena who came through. She's got a couple, I believe, that she's popped in here. So she said she tried setting up some online sessions in a bit of a rural setting with poor internet. So she would like some suggestions how to set up as a sole personal trainer, how to improve her connection, and she's working mainly with over 50-year-olds as well. So if you have any recommendations for possibly an older population.
Okay. And look, what I might also get you to do is you should probably mute your Zoom, because we're getting a bit of an echo coming out of your Zoom. So I'll give you a bit of a hint on that. Rowena, funnily enough, we've had a few inquiries from people in exactly the same situation, certainly with an older demographic, because one of the things with Simone's business, it's mums, it's a younger demographic. We've had people contact us who've got movement-based clients, aged care clients, and whatever. Having bad internet is a problem if you're doing live. It is not a problem if you're doing on demand. So live, I think that's even louder, Luke. Hang on, I'm going to turn myself down a little bit. There we go. I think one of the challenges you've got is getting an on-demand platform going up. What on-demand means is that you shoot your class or you do it and then you load it up to the platform. So whilst it might take a little while to load up, when people are watching it, they watch it without buffering, without it jumping around. And so as long as you can get the videos onto a platform, the actual quality of the stream is very good out to your customers. So I definitely see what you mean with the challenge of having internet in a regional setting. But if you can, even with your phone, with an iPhone and a tripod or something, film yourself, get it up onto a platform. Again, as long as it's behind that paywall, if you want your clients to be paying you a monthly or weekly fee, then they can watch it. And the other thing that's an option as well, which we really love, is you can pre-record the clips and then play them out as live. So you can say, 5 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, we're going to be doing stretching. You pre-record it, it loads to the platform, then at 5 o'clock, it plays out as live. So they think they're watching a live class, but it's actually a pre-recorded class. So hopefully that helps, Rowena.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, I've muted my Zoom, so hopefully that's a little bit better for everyone. Question coming through from Sarah. So if you're correcting people in the class, which is running live, have clients who are watching on demand find that annoying or okay to watch? I'm not sure if that was a question for you or Simone.
No, I understand the question. And the question is basically, if you record a live session and I'm like, oh, Steve, lift your leg a bit higher, are people watching it on demand annoyed by the fact that I'm referring to Steve's leg not being high enough kind of thing? And the reality is no. People understand that if they're watching an on-demand class, it's one that's been recorded. It's no different to watching a live class and them correcting Steve's leg if you watch it on demand. So the answer there is no. We haven't found any feedback that people are complaining about that kind of thing. So I don't think it's really, when people are watching it, it's literally like they're in a class. And certainly the bigger the monitor they're watching it on, the more class-like the session is. The key is having good sound. So they need to be able to hear you. They need to be able to hear the instructions. So sound is really, really important. But I don't think there's any issues with you know, playing a live session and then playing it on demand.
Yeah, for sure. So a question from Janet. Do you have any information about music licensing for online sessions if you do exercise to music?
Definitely. So Janet, we sort of touched on that very briefly. It is something to consider. One thing you'll find is that if you use commercial music of any sort on YouTube or Facebook, they will mute it now. So they actually silence or do a copyright claim, as it's technically called. That is not a problem on the platforms that we use. They do not mute commercial music, but certainly if you are using platforms like Facebook or YouTube, they do. There is a license available, and that license, I can provide that information to Luke, and he might be able to put it up or send it out, or whatever magical things that you do at Fitness Australia. But there is a license you can get from AMCOS. AMCOS are the Mechanical Copyright Owners Society. They're the ones that we deal with when we make television shows and films and things. They manage the copyright for the copyright owners, and they offer a license for gyms, much the same as APRA offers licenses for live performance, live gyms. AMCOS deal with anything to do with webcasting and whatever. I would give you a price, but I don't want to give you the wrong price, but it's not very much.
Yeah, for sure. And another one comes through from Hugh. I can see a fair few popping in now, so it's good to see. But with the video sessions that are created for the library, is there any need for an IP agreement with the staff member who creates the session?
Good question. We call that performance rights. So if I appear in a video, I am performing in the video, and that is a performance right. If they work for you and you are engaging them especially to produce this content or to host a class, and the thing is they're hosting a class, whether it's video recorded or online or whatever is irrelevant, they obviously need to know that it is going online, but the fact that they're performing in front of a camera is self-evident. Our advice has been that you don't need a release for anyone who is employed by you for the purpose of doing this, because that's their job. They know that you're doing it. They know that's available. If you are worried about it, you can very easily get a release that allows you for use in perpetuity across the universe, which I find interesting that our releases relate to the universe in case we want to do classes in Mars, perhaps. But no, I don't think it's necessarily an issue.
That'd be interesting. Sessions on Mars.
Fitness Mars, we could call it.
I'll kill a few birds with one stone with this one. So there's a couple of people that have been asking, Amy and Sharon, I saw those two questions came in about microphones. So have you got any suggestions about where they can purchase them and or which the best ones to use are?
So that's a very, very, very good question, and it depends on how you are doing your webcasts. Of course, whilst this entire webinar is done just to discuss the options and is not a sales pitch in any way, shape or form, we are happy to help out people with their specific needs. There are basically three ways of approaching microphones. One is Apple Airpods, and we recommend those specifically because they fit in the ears. They do fall out if you're very active, so that's why it only works for certain classes. But they they're obviously pretty readily available. AirPod Pros are about between $395 and $495, and they connect via Bluetooth. To get a bit more of a professional result, we use Rode microphones. We use the Rode Go microphones. It's a bit like this. If I pull my belt pack off, which is here, this is a big one, actually. The Rode ones are actually smaller. They're about that. They clip into your, when you get them, make sure I didn't mute myself. When you get them, the little transmitters actually act as a microphone as well. So you can just clip them onto your clothes, or you can get an external mic. It's about, if you get them from us, it's about $300, $350. And again, I'm guessing, and that's you need some little adapters to go into your phone or your iPad or however you're doing the broadcast. But that's the sort of level. And the third option is they are making these specific Bluetooth smart mics, they're called. Just Google smart mics, and they connect via Bluetooth, but they only work if you're using an iPhone, an iPad or a laptop. If you are using an actual camera, which gives you better quality, and in fairness to what the Loft were doing, they started with an iPad and very quickly moved to a Sony camera, which was about $1,000, and that had a proper microphone and you could control the brightness and everything. So it just depends how you're doing it, but pretty much it starts at $100 and works its way up from a good microphone to about $500 once you've got all the plugs and everything. But it's a good investment. It's definitely worth doing.
Yeah, sure. And I bet it depends as well what they're actually doing.
Right, and that's why if you drop one of our team a line and you tell us what you're doing and how you're doing it, we can point you in the right direction. And we are a reseller as well. So if you give us a call, we just sent out a package yesterday to a client in Avoca. you let us know what you need. We package it all up for you and send you everything with all the cables. Because the other problem is for a lot of people, not very technically savvy, and you might buy the mic, but you mightn't buy the right adapter to get you into the iPhone, or which is a different adapter to get you into a camera. So more than happy to help out. And as I said, I'll also send Luke an email with some links and so forth so that he can let you know.
Perfect. Question coming through from Paul Middleton for live stream and recorded on-demand classes. Is there a standard release contract for trainers, or is it an extra service that you're asking for them? Do you pay them extra?
So that's similar to the question we just answered about releases. I certainly wouldn't be paying them extra. And the reason for that being, you aren't asking them, hang on, I'll take a step back there. I showed you the Virgin example, and the example with that is they are doing their normal classes. So Liz was the example that I just pulled up. She does normal classes and then she does the online classes. Now, whether or not, I don't know the details of how Virgin have rostered her. I don't know whether they've taken a live class and then replaced that with an on-demand, I don't know whether they have replaced a face-to-face class with the recording session or not. I would imagine if you have your instructors doing 7 classes a week and then you add 2 more, well, you'd need to pay them for that. In terms of needing releases, the world's become a very release-driven place. Pardon me. You can get by doing what's called a general release, which is basically printing a bit of paper and taping it to the door of where the thing is being recorded, saying, if you come into this space, you will be recorded and that will be used. And we do a lot of work for people like Disney and so forth. And when we're doing big outdoor scenes, we literally at one point had t-shirts printed with the release on the t-shirts, literally saying, if you can read this t-shirt, you will be filmed. So that is a general release. So you don't need to get them to sign individual releases and so on.
Cool. Question coming through from Sharon, I believe it's pronounced. What kind of financial investment was required to get the Loft online, including camera, lighting, everything included, and how long did it take to start making a profit from the outlay?
Good question. When you say Sharon is how you think it's pronounced, should I call her Sharon?
Yeah. I'm not great with so.
Okay, Sharon. So in answer to that question, pretty much what they had is they had the monthly platform cost, and once they were set up, they just paid that. They then, there was like, we did a bunch of promotional videos for them and stuff, which we shot and they then used. And then they also had the equipment purchase. And as I said, Simone replaced her laptop, bought a new Mac, which we facilitated for her. We provided it all, we set it all up, we put the software on and then just gave it all to her in one big package, so everything worked. In terms of a financial outlay, the thing with Simone is she didn't look at it as a short-term solution. It wasn't just, I need it for 3 weeks. It was, this is part of my business going forward, and this is something that I need to do. So effectively, the monthly outlay on that particular platform was about $175 a month. And then in terms of the setup fee and so forth, it was only about $500 or $600. And the equipment, laptop aside, I think the equipment in total was about $1,500. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but she has found that as I said, you know, what did we see? 55,000 views of her classes, which is a lot. So it definitely pays itself off reasonably quickly.
Yeah, and again, I assume it would depend on what sort of activity and
Correct.
Studio you're operating as well.
Correct.
Question coming through from Caroline. So she was curious about how to integrate music into her live workout. So pretty much, I think she's just looking to. There's a bit of a long one here. So yeah, I guess she just sort of wants to see how to make sure that on her Zoom sessions and things, to make sure that the quality of music is sort of up there.
So that's an interesting question, actually, and that is something that I must admit I sort of skipped over. I was going to talk about anyway. I'm assuming that you want to play Sweet Caroline all the way through every session. So that's just the one song. So that's an interesting question because some people do it just by having a Bluetooth speaker and putting it close to them while they're conducting their sessions, and therefore the mic picks it up. Other people go a bit more professional, and we put a small mixer in. So you've got a laptop that plays your music, that goes into a mixer, your microphone goes into the same mixer. It's only a very small little thing like that, and then that feeds whatever is doing the webcast. So that way you can have a proper sound feed, very similar to at gyms where you've got, you know, your volume control for your microphone, your volume control for the music. It's the same thing, and that's a couple of $100. So you can either just have the speaker near you, or you can have an actual mixer that does it.
Question coming through from Tanya. What lighting? Do you have any recommendations for lighting and the size or brand?
I definitely have recommendations for lighting, because lighting is one of the most important things. One of the things that made me want to, jump off a tall cliff with the Loft was that they've got a very beautiful, open, sunny studio with white curtains, and the problem with that is that they would want to film right in front of those white curtains. So it looks very open and airy, but you have to light that or else you become just a black shadow. So the lighting we had for them was a bit different to the lighting that you would have in a normal space. It was brighter. We use in this studio, we're in one of our studios at Damn Good. And I should mention as well, it is important that I mention that if anyone out there does want to do online classes, they haven't got somewhere to do it, we conduct online classes. There we go there. There we go, look, it's a green screen. Interestingly enough, you can't see this, but our TD Jazz has just logged in with his phone. There's an app that gets into our system, and that's what the studio looks like. And so he used his phone to sort of show that. So there's all sorts of ways of connecting in. But we use LED panels here. LED panels, we literally sold one to a client yesterday. Jazz, what was the cost of the LED panel? $299 or something? $295, and that attaches to the lap. It comes with a stand, and it comes with a suction cup, so it can actually go onto the back of your laptop or your screen, or it can stand separately. It's USB rechargeable. You can get them really cheap. The problem with the really cheap ones is they stop working. Because we're a television company, we recommend all proper stuff. Simone bought what we call a redhead, and that was actually a bit cheaper because it's not LED technology. You have to replace the globe every now and then. And I think that cost her about $150. And she has actually mounted that permanently in the roof in her studio, and it just sits there, and when she needs it for the recording, she just turns it on. So again, happy to give you specific advice based on your specific environment. Whilst you ask the next question, I'll pull up on my laptop that particular brand of light, and we can talk about, just an answer to your question. So next question, Luke, while I go to my laptop.
Yeah, of course. This one's pretty much just, can you record live classes on Zoom and then post them on a platform? I'd suggest that the answer is yes, Fiona, but Ben might be able to elaborate a bit more on that as well.
Yeah, look, the problem with Zoom is that there's so many limitations with it as a platform. Zoom was designed as a meeting platform. It was designed so that people in offices could just connect with each other. And people are now trying to use it today. We're using it as a webcast platform. They're trying to use it as a recording platform and so forth. It's got a lot of constraints. I would rather see you guys set your phone up on a tripod and record a session like that rather than you record a Zoom session. You can record a Zoom session, as we know. We're recording today, aren't we, Luke? Because I can see the recording button on Zoom. Yep. So you can record that, and then it does do it. It is it, but the quality is not great, and it depends how you set it up. You end up getting the gallery view with all the people and stuff. That raises a problem in that if you are recording a call, someone hasn't got their microphone off and it cuts to them, have they been cleared to be in your recording? That's the next thing. Like if I'm sweating away doing my, doing my power lifting for my trainer, and I'm working hard and it cuts to me without me knowing, that becomes a release problem potentially. I might not like my house being shown or me being shown or whatever. So be careful recording Zoom calls is my advice there, if that makes sense.
Cool. Okay, we've got one from Daniela, who has a website and want to be connected to your platform. So
smart
we'll
girl.
Be sending all that. Yeah. So if you wanted to, Daniela, feel free to shoot Fitness Australia an email, and we'll pass you on Ben's details. Get in contact.
And I think that's an important point that we have got the equipment, we've got the experience, we've got the platforms. And whilst I said, we haven't got time to put up the platform. Just whilst you're talking, Luke, I'll let everyone see what the on-demand platform looks like. So how you enter subscriptions and all sorts of stuff. I'll pull that up real quick. But definitely we can get you online quickly, I think, and that's the important thing. And you don't need an engineering degree in astrophysics to be able to make it work. More questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple more. I think 2 more just come through. Yeah, so one from Lena. So as a sole operator in a small regional town, how affordable is it to set up a platform similar to Simone's? You've touched mainly on that. And then another one in regards to insurance. So that insurance with virtual classes compared to the usual insurance. Do you have much insight into that sort of thing, Ben?
Yeah, look, in terms of insurances and so forth, but because they are performing at their house, they are doing their own. You don't have to worry about insurances. The only person you have to insure is the person in the studio doing the work. So I'm just going to plug my laptop in there because I've realised cardinal sin. I used my own laptop. I didn't plug it in. The only person you need to insure are those that are on your premises. You don't need to insure people that are not on your premises. If I'm there doing an exercise in my house, I can't hold you liable if I do something stupid to hurt myself because I'm in my own house. So insurances really don't apply so much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, and probably good to contact your actual insurer as well to get advice.
That was not insurance advice, by the way. That was just
No, but yeah, always with anything insurance, best to contact your insurer just to make sure that you're covered appropriately. Got a question from Anonymous. So
Anonymous.
Anonymous, yes, come through. So what's the computer program called where instructors can see where everyone but the participant, so they can only see the instructor?
Good question. That's actually, it's not a bit of software you can buy at the moment. It's a proprietary bit of software and it's part of a platform. So it's not something you can go out and just buy or use. But again, if you send Luke an email, we can point you in the right direction and give you some costs and so forth for that. Because we are pretty sure that's the way of the future in terms of doing this, is that you can see them, they can see you, but they can't see everybody else, which really in a health environment is what you want. If that makes sense. Just very quickly, Luke, before we go on, I'll just show very quickly, this is what our pay-per-view platform looks like. We have channels. This particular one is a channel that we did for Shooting Australia, which is Australia's international Olympic shooting body. But it applies for every trainer and everything as well. You'll see here live events. So these are your live classes. So you can have a class today, a class at 3 o'clock, a class at 5 o'clock and so forth. Underneath is the video on demand. We can break it into specific categories with these guys that have got the live panel show. For you might have high intensity classes, you might have stretching classes and so forth. But what is interesting is if I go back to some of the other channels, and these are what the channels look like. You can see, so this is we've got a boxing channel, MMA channel, BMX channel, and so forth. But what's interesting is you'll see here it says non-subscribers is $19.95, subscribers is $14.95. So the way we've got it set up in the back end is that if you're a subscriber, so if you pay a monthly fee, we can have it so it's free. And yet if you want to buy a one-off class, it might be $4.95 or something. So we have it set up so that you can have a channel, your own channel. On that channel, you can have live events, on-demand events, Q&As, all sorts of stuff. And people can either buy per video or they can buy a subscription to your channel, if that makes sense. And there's a lot more to it behind the scenes. I won't bore you with now, but you can, if you have a famous instructor, you can have a profit share with they get 20% of every person who views their video. There's all sorts of cool things with that particular platform.
Yeah, and of course, if anyone wants to get in contact with Ben, I've seen a few questions pop up in the chat around that. Feel free to shoot us an email, and we'll have Ben's details to pass on to you as well. A couple more questions, I believe. We'll wrap it up in a second. So if you've got any last questions, just throw them in now so we can quickly get to them. Of course, if members, you've been here for the hour already, so if you do need to go, if you've only scheduled the 1 hour, feel free to jump out, and you can always watch the rest of the webinar on the recording, which is on the Fitness Australia YouTube channel. We'll put that up in the next few days.
I'm going to conduct a 25-minute class in a minute, and I'm going to do that on, I'm not sure, some sort of body pump class. So stay tuned. It's worth it.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. So definitely watch the recording if you have to go. So we've got a question from Jenny as well, who just asked if participants are asked to fill out a pre-activity questionnaire. I believe that's for today. So there'll be a webinar survey which will pop up at the end, Jenny. So once you leave the session, whenever you need to go, that'll pop up on your browser for you. Do you have health screening? This is from Andrew. Do you have health screening for clients start live or on demand?
Okay, so the answer to that is that's normally managed by you guys, because quite often the online component is fitting into an existing business. So the thought is you would already have conducted that screening before they sign in. Some of the apps actually do have a pre-screening thing. When you go in and you sign up, they pre-screen you. But in terms of the online elements, they don't support that per se. We can set it so that, click here to fill out your thing. We can program the platforms to do that, but it's not a standard part of it.
Yeah, cool.
Good question.
I just saw a question come through from Shireen as well. So not Sharon.
Not Sharon, but Shireen.
And so she just asked,
hi, Shireen.
Contact Ben. So yeah, Shireen, just like I said, just shoot us an email at Fitness Australia, and we'll get you Ben's contact details to get in touch. From Gail, will you send the info that you've talked about to everyone who's registered? So I'll speak to Ben about getting any of this information, but again, happy to pass his contact details on to you, Gail, as well.
Should I just say, Luke, there is no point, all of you personal trainers out there messaging me saying, I can get you fit. People better than you have tried and failed. So just do not bother, all right? It's just not worth the hassle.
You could try.
You could try. Exactly.
You got Amanda as well, and Amanda's just asked where your studio is based.
So we have, good question. We have studios, we've got bigger studios in Sydney and Melbourne. So they are available for doing classes in. So what we have a lot of clients do is say, I'm going to do classes on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and they do a schedule, and then they just come in here. The benefit with that is obviously we have all the equipment and we have the microphones and everything, and we just hit stream to your channel, and then away you go. So we're based in Newtown in Sydney, and we're based just outside the city in Melbourne. And we also have contacts with studios in Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. It won't help, but we also have studios in London and Vancouver and Toronto and New York. So if you want to work out New York, you know who to talk to.
Maybe you might get to those ones in a couple of months, hopefully, or maybe 10 years. We'll see how everything goes with the international travel. Right. Fiona, I think this will be the last question that's popped up, so we'll wrap up after this. But Fiona's asked how difficult it is to transfer existing scheduling system onto your platform.
Good question. And this was, going back to Simone's example, it was quite challenging because she already had a client management system in place and people were paying their monthly dues or their fortnightly dues, and getting the membership lists and the scheduling, whatever, from that platform into a webcast platform can be quite costly. It uses what we call APIs. So the APIs talk between the platforms. So that is where the money starts getting spent. What we found with a lot of the smaller clients, so the bigger clients, it's fine. Like I showed you the Virgin example, they've got the economies of scale to justify it. With the smaller clients, it becomes a bit difficult. So to begin with, a lot of them just do it manually. They go into the platform and they set the live events up themselves. And it takes, I mean, if I could set a live event up for you now and be done by the time I finish this sentence. It takes about 30 seconds. So what we were finding people were doing is they would go in on the weekend and they'd set up their schedule for the week, or they would go in at the start of the month and set their schedule up for the month. But to have them talk can be done. We can do it. If we have any larger chains listening right now, definitely can do it for you, and we have done it. But the API programming can be quite expensive.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Thank you,
anything else
Fiona.
from you, Ben, at all?
Look, all I want to finish off by saying is this is just a way of helping you guys stay online. Fitness is very much a personal job, right? It is a one-on-one thing. It is you guys are dealing with your clients. It will never be replaced by online, okay? People need routine, they need familiar faces, and most importantly for their mental health, they need contact. So they need, and I was speaking to one of my trainer friends this morning, and she was saying that she's got to the point where she's now going out to the park and just hanging out with clients because they just need that contact. Health is very important, both physical and mental health. What we're talking about here is providing ongoing routine for your clients and providing ongoing contact and providing them with a reason to do something at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning or 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And we're finding that people need that routine. But you know, you guys are doing an absolutely amazing job. It is absolutely vital for people's health. And if you know, this is the way that we can keep doing it. If we can help you in doing it, then that's what we're here for. But thank you, Luke, for having us. Really appreciate the opportunity. And if there's anything we can do to help, let Luke know.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Ben, and thank you for everyone that attended today as well. Hope you enjoyed the session, and there'll be further ones this week. So hope everyone stays safe in lockdown for those that are, and have a good rest of your day. Cheers, guys.